What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Import Modify. On this episode, we're still waiting on that radiator fan to come in, so we are going to be working on suspension bushings. Got my work cut out for me because these things can be a pain in the ass, so stay tuned. Bushings. All right, we have a lot of bushings right here, and I was underneath the car inspecting the bushings on this car, and it is an 87 model, so they're not in the greatest shape, especially when accelerating. I noticed I was having a knocking noise, and for what I researched, they say that the subframe bushings could be the culprit of that, and that's these bad boys right here. So out of curiosity, I put the car on the lift, and I removed the cover plate for the subframe to inspect the bushings, and lo and behold, if you can see that, they're definitely cracked, and it's cracked on both sides of that bushing, and I'm pretty sure the other side's going to be the same, if not worse. So that explains things as far as the noise goes. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. So while I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and take care of everything else in the back. And the previous owner had bought a master bushing kit for this car. He's installed some of the bushings already, but I guess he figured out that it's not an easy task, so he left the rest in the box, and when I bought it, he just gave them to me. And that is the rear lower control arm bushings right here, sway bar end links, and also the rear sway bar bushing. So I was looking around on the internet too, and I found this bushing right here is for the transmission mount, so I went ahead and got it. We're going to change that out as well. And this one right here is the front lower control arm bushings. Now he already has the front sway bar bushings in it, and he has the front sway bar end link bushings installed in it. So with all this, ought to complete the kit on the car and tighten up that suspension really well and give me a nice firm ride like the car is intended to have. And one of the main reasons I'm doing this is because in the Facebook Z31 group, I brought up a discussion about coilovers for this car. What did they recommend? And most of the people had nothing but great things to say about Power Tricks. And it's a new company from what I understand. And Charles Park actually reached out to me on Facebook Messenger. And him and I went back and forth a little bit. And he's going to actually be sponsoring an episode. So he's hooking me up with some UL coilovers. Now that is I think that's their best grade of coilovers for this chassis, and the UL coilovers are going to be real nice addition to this car. So I'm going to be doing a future install and review of that, and he's going to be sponsoring that episode. So that's cool. That's my first sponsored episode in Import Modify, so I guess I'm doing something good, and it's always, good to see recognition from people noticing it and working things out like that, because it definitely makes things more affordable for projects that I have. I definitely don't get any help. I spend money for these projects out of my own pocket, and before you start thinking I'm privileged or anything, I work my ass off. I went to college. I got a degree. I make okay money now, and I put money aside to make sure that I can play with my toys, and that is the gist of it. So anyway, we have enough to do this. Get this all nice and done up, so we got the suspension nice and tight, and then we'll be ready for those coilovers. And hopefully, next week I get that radiator fan in, and then I can go ahead and install that and take care of that as well. And I got a lip kit as well that I ordered, a JDM lip kit from MSA, and I'm going to be installing that on the car as well. And I was also looking at like a duckbill spoiler for the rear, because once I put those coilovers on, I want to give it that nice mean JDM look, and it's just gonna look stunning in the end, I think, and it's gonna be really cool. So we got that to look forward to. And I'm also going to be looking today at some rims, and there's some Steelies, and I don't know if it's gonna work out or not for this project, but they are very cheap, and the lug pattern fits. So I'm going to see how they look and if it will work out on this car or not. But I will show you guys, because they're so cheap, I'm gonna buy them anyway. And we'll put them on the car and see if it's something that I'm going to run with this with the coilovers and all that, give it a nice look. If not, we'll just stick with the OEM rims for now. But enough rambling on. I think I've been rambling on for like 4 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and get started on this thing. We got to take the rear tires off and start looking this thing over, how to get that subframe out. All right, so looking up underneath here, I think the game plan that I'm going to go with is I'm going to take the sway bar off, the end links, the mounts itself, get that off. Then I will take the e-brake cables out and basically get them freed up to where I can drop it with no worries of that being connected to anything. And then I'll be working on the lower control arms, getting that out. And then the last thing I'll be doing is the subframe itself. And I'll have to use one of these stands to hold up the rear differential because they have the mounts right here, and then I'll be able to drop the subframe itself. So let's see how well that works out, and let's get started on it. Alright guys, so I got the passenger side control arm out, and remember how I stated that the knocking noise could be coming from the subframe mount? Check this out. That thing is shot. So that's the culprit right there. That is the reason why we're getting all that noise, the knocking noise. And I'm moving it up and down with here with my my lift stand. So replacing these with polyurethane bushings is definitely going to help this thing out tremendously, and I'm looking forward to how it feels after that. But remember how I stated that I was going to pick up some Stillies. Now I just came from picking them up, and I got them for $75, and they're actually Stillies off of a Jeep. Yeah, off of a Jeep. They have the same bolt pattern, and they have nice concave to them. So here you go. That's what they look like. That's the concave to them. They are 8-inch wide. They are 5 by 114.3 bolt pattern. So I said, man, $75, why not? Now these things are a lot heavier, guys, than the factory ones, and they're not going to help anything performance-wise, but you know, they look pretty cool, and I said $75, why not, man? I mean, $75, and I think I'm going to paint them white so that it pops off the black. Black with white rims is always a good combination, I think. And I think they ought to look cool. And just, you know, once I get the coilovers on it and drop it nice and low, it's going to look pretty cool, man. It's going to look a little unique. And here's a little bit of how the concave looks on it. Nice concave to them. But that's the other rim. He gave me a tire with it, you know. I was talking to him. He obviously thought I was a Jeep enthusiast, you know. I didn't lead him on or nothing, but he was talking to me a lot about Jeeps and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. But I loaded him up. I paid $75. You can't beat it, and you know, $75 rims and it'll look a little unique it's a plus in my book. And I have some tires right there in the back that I'm going to take off those rims, and throw them on these. These are 16-inch. So I got tires, $75, different wheels. Why not? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and knock out this driver's side, and then once I get that out, we'll go ahead and move on to the subframe, get that thing out, and then we will move on from there. All right, so I got the driver's side out now, and we will be moving on to the subframe, and I have the differential braced up right there, and you have 4 bolts right here that mount the nose piece of the differential to the subframe, 2 and 4, and these are 17 millimeter, and you have some 17 millimeter nuts up on top. So we have to hold a wrench. I'll use my impact, get them all out. Then from there, we're gonna have to take off these nuts right there. I already have the nuts from the front taken off, and I have to take these off on this side. And I'm probably gonna have to use my stand right here to kind of lift up to be able to move this part of the lift over a little bit, just to get clearance right there to get this plate off. So that's what we're up against. We are at the end of the tunnel now. I see the light. We'll be able to get this out, and then from there, the fun will begin, getting all those damn bushings out, because that's where the pain in the ass starts. Alright guys, subframe is out of the chassis now. We got the control arms out of the chassis. There it is right there, and this bushing was definitely the problem. As you can tell, it is shot. Whenever I took the plate off the bottom, this little piece right here fell straight out. So that is definitely the problem of the knocking noise. And the control arm bushings actually look to be in really good shape. So, and it also looks like it's gonna be a complete pain in the ass to take those out. So that is gonna be a fight that I'm gonna take on tomorrow. I'm just gonna go ahead and call it the afternoon, go home, spend some time with my family, come back in fresh, and that's where all that fun's gonna begin. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right guys, new day, and I successfully removed the bushing out of the passenger side on the subframe. Now, I use WD-40, it is your friend, getting things lubricated up, but basically what I did was I took the guts of it out, and then after that it just left the shell, and from there I beat the lip around right there just to give me some leverage for a punch. And I took my Sawzall and I cut a relief on the side. Now you got to be very careful when you do this not to cut into your subframe, but once you put a relief on the side, it weakens it tremendously. And I just used my punch and went in a circle pattern, beating the crap out of it, and it came out. And it really wasn't too hard once you got the slit cut into the side of the sleeve. So I'll go ahead, put this on time lapse. I'll do the other side so you guys can get an idea. So reading the instructions, they want the upper washer. This is the upper washer that mounts up to the chassis. They want this outer edge removed. It is made of rubber, so it's pretty easy to do. I use a combination of a razor blade, scraper knife, hammer, wire wheel brush, and got the rubber off, and then I use the wire wheel brush to get all the rust off and painted it up to prevent corrosion. So I'll show you guys how it's done real quick, and then we'll move on from there. Alright guys, we got that subframe in, and whenever I took it off, I noticed where these bolt pins are at in the chassis, where the washer sits, that, you know, over the years moisture collected and caused a little bit of surface rust in those areas. So I did sand them down and I painted them like the headlight buckets, and I got rid of all that rust before I mounted it back up, and it is nice and solid now. There is no worrying about knocking noise now because these polyurethane bushings are very solid, so we're good to go. And for my paint of choice on this, I did use the Rust-Oleum Professional. I like that paint a lot. I use it on a lot of stuff, and that's what I painted this with because I know it will hold up to weather and over time, so we're good to go on that. And this thing right here, these control arms, I could tell you right now, they are gonna be such a pain in order to get these out, because I'm gonna have to end up pushing the pins out first and then probably getting my Sawzall in there and you know, relieving the sleeves so I can punch those out like I did the bushings on the subframe. So I'm gonna have to come up with something. Maybe I could put it in the press to push the pins out. That would be the best thing. I'm gonna have to make something to hold up the hub area and get it to where I can get it on the press, and that's gonna be a fight for tomorrow. So came in a little bit late today, spent some time this morning with the family. We went out, we ate and everything, and you know, I spent a lot of time on my cars here in the shop, and I was feeling a little bit bad because I haven't been spending enough time with my family. So I took the time this afternoon, up until the afternoon, and spent time with my family. So I started the day late, but at least we got the subframe in. I don't know how far I'm gonna get on this episode, guys. I'm gonna try to tackle these control arms, but if we do not, ow, see, you gotta watch your head. If I do not get it done, then I'm just gonna end up wrapping up the episode after I try to tackle a little bit on those control arms, and then we'll have to do another episode and finish it off. And then the radiator, maybe I could do that with the radiator on the next episode, I don't know. But I'm trying to get everything solid so that we can get those coilovers put in, and that would be its own episode. So I'm done for tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, I had a moment of time today to come in and take care of the rear control arms. I got things lightened up, so next episode, whenever I manhandle these things, it's definitely going to be a lot easier and lighter with the calipers and the disc off of it. And the brake lines, they were binding up on me pretty hard, so I had to fish them out in order to get it all out of there. So I'm going to have to saturate those things down with some penetrating oil in order to break those free. But we got these things prepped for the next episode, and once I have the bushings out, I'm gonna prep them and paint them and make everything look nice and pretty, just like I did on the rear subframe, so that it'll look nice and pretty once we get those Power Tricks UL coilovers in. And speaking of Power Tricks UL coilovers, I want to give a shout out again to Charles Park. I just recently talked to him on Messenger. I sent my deposit on the coilovers, so in about a week or so he'll ship them out to me. And you know, I'm just trying to get everything on the car caught up, so that once I get those in, we can do that first sponsored episode. And thank you, Charles, again for helping me out with the build. Things like that go a long way, especially when you're spending your own money on these builds. So I'm all out of time. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you guys on the next episode.